Right, welcome ladies and gents. Let's talk Alien Earth, Season 1, Episode 6, The Fly. This will be my review, obviously. Going to talk full spoilers, just chit-chat about it, basically. This episode, I enjoyed it. I feel like there's some interesting elements here. And I'm going to hold fire on my wholesale judgment until, I get the whole season. The whole series. The whole story is finished. Because the story's not finished, right? When you got like a first, second and third act of a movie, if the second act dipped a bit and you just walked out, but there was going to be a big payoff in the third act, it would be a miscalculation of your judgment, wouldn't it? You'd be judging it unfairly. We can, however, just judge this episode in isolation, but I'm not going to say the whole season, is tarnished or anything like that. But this episode definitely highlighted some fundamental issues with the writing that I do have. I've got massive problems with the writing at the moment. The last episode and this episode have given me pause for thought on what the writers were doing, right? Like, just people doing really dumb things that they shouldn't be doing. Really dumb things. Trained professionals, scientists. It's a lab. The island is a research facility. And adults, we're not even talking about the kids, but adults doing really dumb things that I struggle to sort of tangle with, right? I struggle to sort of reconcile that level of writing. So what happened in this episode was titled The Fly. We finally see that specimen. We finally see specimen 5, I think it is, the fly. It's an interesting creature. Which we'll get to in a minute, but the title of the episode is, the fly, because we see the fly. But anyway, so what happens? Well, we open the episode with Wendy Marcy talking to the xenomorph. She can't talk to them. This has already been clarified by Noah Hawley. She can't actually talk to them. She can't actually communicate with them. They haven't chosen her. She's kind of just replicating it. She doesn't know what they're saying. It's just she's a kid messing around, right? So, fine. We do see the Mini-morph. It's not as egregious as what we saw with, say, Alien Covenant, where we just missed the chest burster and out popped a tiny little xenomorph, right? Like, that was super dumb shit. But we've moved from a chest burster to like a miniature, like a chihuahua-sized xenomorph. It's a bit weird, like the dorsal tubes aren't fully grown, all this kind of stuff. It is a bit odd. It's a very strange design choice. One which I'm not massively on board with. I said in my reaction to this episode's trailer, actually, last week, I was like, that's a bit odd. It's a bit odd. I feel like they've stepped away from the H.R. Giger element, especially design-wise anyway, and made it less alien as well, actually. I think, personally, that this little chest burster pops out and then it's molts into like a dog-sized alien and then just grows from there. I think that fundamentally makes the xenomorph less alien. Whereas, love it or hate it, what I really appreciated with Alien Romulus was the sort of vaginal cocoon that they made for the chest burster to molt into a full-blown xenomorph. I really liked that. However, again, just to hold my hands up, so we'll play positive and negative. One of the design choices that I did like that they did was that the facehugger implants. Well, we knew it implanted an embryo anyway, but when we got to see that in the earlier episode, I thought that was really cool. So, take the good with the bad. There were some things in this season as a whole that I've enjoyed. I just think this was a bit of a misstep. So she's communicating with this Mini-morph, fine. Her brother's still trying to plot to get her out. She's sort of standing with Kirsch. Kirsch is a really interesting character. He is our David type character in this. He's our Ash type character. And it may all be it may be a subversion of expectations. He may not actually end up being that. We have yet to see. But he's building up to this kind of character arc from what we can see right now. You know, Hermit speaks to him about, you know, is there any more maintenance that these hybrids need, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, why? You expect to take her with you, blah, blah, blah. Like, it's not going to happen, basically, kind of thing. You know, she could travel the stars for 1,000 years, and you want to just make her a family. No. Like, it's that sort of disdain for humanity that Kirsch has. And I actually really like that. Timothy Olyphant's a great actor. I think he's excelling in this. Love all of that. I think that's actually really, really good. And inspired casting, actually. I think Timothy Olyphant is inspired casting. So to anyone just thinking I'm mindlessly hating, I'm giving you plenty of positives as well. This is constructive. Anyway, Ms. Yutani and Boy Cavalier meet to enter arbitration for the vessel, the ship, and the specimens. This is capitalist bureaucracy. The five companies that rule the earth have decided on how they approach these things, and when the arbiter agrees an outcome or you know decides an outcome, that is final, that is legally binding, so say the five, which I quite like. I like that element. I think that's a really interesting element. You know, governments have fallen, corporations have taken over. I think it's a really inspired look at a potential future. And for those that are going like, oh, what do you mean a potential future? Just look how much BlackRock is embedded in companies, in countries, and governments. It's quite a lot, actually, to be fair. And they earn overall income way above the GDP of most countries. So it's not actually far-fetched, to be fair, to say that a corporation or a company or whatever could, you know, rise to the top and sort of subsume governments. But anyway, I digress. It is decided that Boy Cavalier will eventually give Yutani the ship after quarantine has been fulfilled. Obviously, Yutani's not happy with that, and Yutani basically moves Babu Sisay Morrow, the cyborg, into play. You know, there's lots of moving pieces of the pie here. She moves him into play to exact his plan, which is, of course, to unleash a xenomorph or get a xenomorph, and then they at least have one specimen, which makes sense. That's fine. Like, I think that's quite cool. It is actually the chap, the male scientist. He gets face-hugged towards the end of this episode, which I'll get onto in a minute because there's some really dumb stuff that happens, which I'll get to. But we have Aid Edmondson, great actor, great to see him again. At the start of the episode, he clamps down with the scientist and says, this hybrid, the one that thought she was pregnant, you need to revert her memory, mellow her out, do it. And they sort of put up a fight. I mean, the male does, and he just gets fired instantly, which is brilliant. Like, it's that ruthlessness, cutthroat nature that you would expect from these companies. You know, there's accountability and risk. Done. You're done. Bye. I thought that was actually quite... I like that writing decision. But then so far as that just serves the purpose of this guy being killed. So it doesn't really matter, I guess. So anyway, Chapo that's been speaking to Morrow, Nibs or Slightly, I think it's Slight if I remember right. He speaks to Morrow. Yeah, it's Slightly. And he effectively goes to the lab, the secure lab, coaxes the male scientist in, unleashes an ovomorph, he gets face-hugged, and he puts him into a sort of an HVAC tunnel ready to be taken out. We actually saw this in the trailer. It was revealed in the trailer that it was the male scientist a long time ago. And if you put two and two together, you see his clothes, and it is the same guy. So they actually kind of spoiled that in the trailer, which I think is a bit unfortunate. So that happened. And then we sort of closed the episode with Kirsch watching all of this and being like, yep, everything's fine. Affirmative to Boy Cavalier. So he has a plan. He is doing something. Now, we may have a subversion of expectations here. He may just be watching to see how it plays out. And then he has a plan to, I don't know, quarantine it all and avoid a massive disaster. Who knows? But it's looking like he's our David character. But I think that's also a bit too obvious. And I'd like to think they'll pull it back and subvert our expectations. I would like that a lot. But I don't think the writers are that smart. So let me get to the things that I deeply disliked about this episode, the writing wise. So, let's talk about it. So characters doing dumb things. Scientists, experts in their field doing dumb things. When they roll back Nibs' memory, that's the hybrid that thought she was pregnant. They roll back her memory. They don't know what's going to happen. You know, she could wake up and be even more traumatized. They even say words to that effect. They just put her back in her room and leave her to wake up by herself. That's it. That's part of an experiment. You're not monitoring it. What are you doing, you clown? What a clown show. Not only that, they leave her in her room and they leave her there for all of the other hybrids to interact with. It just so happens it's Wendy that interacts with her. Why didn't you tell the other hybrids? Why didn't you come up with an idea to sort of explain that this was happening? And this was, you know, what are you doing? This is a live experiment. You're not controlling the variables. You're saying that she may initiate more trauma, but you've just allowed her to be reminded of have it revealed to her that she has memory loss by another hybrid. This is dumb writing, right? It is just dumb writing. That's dumb, you know? And I'm guessing they wrote that so it could serve the purpose of having a conversation. Yeah, sure. I mean, it's dumb. It's really dumb. It's really dumb. Dumb, dum, 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 dum. Hated it. Hated it. Hated it. Now, I can, however, forgive Tootles, the hybrid who went into the fly's chamber, because he's a kid, effectively. You know, he goes into the fly's chamber because he breaks the handle to the secure feeding bay, whatever. So I can forgive that because it's written, it's inbuilt into the character that they are, you know, fallible and going to make mistakes, right? They're children. I can forgive that. The fly was also really interesting. I thought the fly was really cool. Like, it squirts out an acid, a type of corrosive material that destroys metal by the looks of it. Why hasn't it destroyed its entire enclosure then? I thought that was a bit weird, but maybe it's like polycarbonate, who knows. But anyway, it makes really quick work of Tootles. Tootles' like face is all destroyed and melted away. And it seems like this is the sheep's plan all along, Teocellus, the image. You know, he's sort of been plotting and watching and waiting, you know, calculating that this was a high potential chance to occur. And I think that's amazing. You know, he sort of, extrapolating downwards of what the potential scenarios are and then working with them. Like, he's watching. It literally looks like he's had all of this already envisioned in his head that this was a potential chance to happen, and he takes his chance and effectively, I just think it's really cool. I think that's great. But anyway, back to some more shit writing. Arthur Sylvia. I think that was really dumb. Like, he goes into the secure lab where he knows he's not supposed to be. I get it, he's doing it to go get Tootles, but then he also just opens the door and, like, I don't know. Like, I just think there is just some writing in this that fundamentally I disagree with, and they're doing dumb things. The main thing was that they allowed Nibs to wake up from having a memory wipe and just be able to talk to people. I thought that's really egregiously bad writing. So there you go. I don't have much else to say, really. I'm still excited to see where they go with this. I don't hate it by any stretch of the imagination. Last episode had some really dumb writing. This episode has some really dumb writing. But like I said, I'm going to judge it by its overall You know, if it can stick the landing. Nothing can forgive the bad writing, though. Like, this was bad writing. These characters were doing dumb stuff. So there you go. What did you guys think of this episode? Let me know down below. Take care. Bye-bye now.